Okay, so which form of magnesium should you best take? How much and how do you find out if you have a magnesium deficiency? All of this we are going to cover now in this video. So let's dig into the weeds. Okay, magnesium. There are so many forms of magnesium. We have magnesium citrate and magnesium oxide and magnesium glycinate and many other forms of magnesium. So what is exactly the difference and which form should you best take and how much? This is basically what I'm going to cover in this video. And later on in the video, we also talk about how can you find out with a blood test if you are magnesium deficient. Maybe you have taken already a blood test and your doctor told you, oh, everything's fine, your levels are in the normal range, but it is highly possible that you took the wrong test to find out. So that's what I'm going to cover in the second part of this video. So stay tuned until the end. Okay, so with magnesium, we have one problem with absorption, that it is a bit laxative, which means it causes loose bowels in everybody at a certain dose. Okay, so this is just a normal expected side effect that occurs almost in everybody if you take a higher dose. And on the other hand, we also want to get a high dose in, especially if you have any chronic issues or mood issues or digestive issues or some kind of chronic condition, headaches, migraines, whatever. I'm not going to cover what magnesium is good for in this video because this would take too long, but I'm just saying most modern people from the Western world, they have a magnesium deficiency. It's over 90% of people have a magnesium deficiency. It's one of the two most common vitamin deficiencies are actually vitamin D or vitamin and mineral. Let's say magnesium, of course, not a vitamin, it's a mineral. But the most two common deficiencies in modern Western people are vitamin D and magnesium. So it's highly likely that you are deficient. You could be deficient in magnesium, and especially if people have some kind of other chronic issues that they want to make progress on. You know, I'm more about medicinal herbs. I work with phytotherapy, with herbalism, and I love working with herbs, but the minerals and vitamins and things like vitamin D and magnesium, they speed up the healing process a lot, because if most of us are deficient in those substances, then it just helps, you know, if we treat those for a while, and we can make progress on our health so much faster. So that's why I'm also very concerned with those deficiencies, and magnesium and vitamin D are one of the two most common that affect many people. Okay, so you don't even have to test for it necessarily. You can just safely assume you need a bit extra, and it might be good for you if you are struggling with some other health issue. And if you take a blood test, we're going to talk about this a bit later. So it will cause loose bowels at a certain dose, but I still recommend that it's good to take a bit a higher dose and not be too conservative. The recommended daily dose is around 300, 360 or something, or 400 something for men, I think, and 300 something for women. But this is a very conservative dose that most people won't have any issues with loose bowels at that dose, but still you might get a way better benefit from the magnesium if you take the highest dose possible. So we say you take magnesium to bowel tolerance, just as much as your bowels can tolerate without having too uncomfortably loose stools. So the different forms of magnesium, some cause those loose stools a bit earlier. For example, magnesium oxide, you might be able to take only 300 or 400 milligrams, and then already you feel, oh my gosh, I have to go to the bathroom so many times a day, and my stool is more runny, so it's uncomfortable. Not that it would be bad or harmful or anything. I mean, most people are constipated anyway a little bit, so it can be also a positive side effect. But of course, if it is uncomfortable for you, then it's too much. This is the criterion. So you don't have to worry that it's kind of bad for you or anything, but of course there is a limit to how you feel with this situation. So magnesium oxide is very stool loosening, and other forms of magnesium citrate, for example, is a bit better than magnesium oxide, but still we have forms of magnesium that are, for example, bound to amino acids, like magnesium taurate, which is bound to the amino acid taurine, or the magnesium L-threonate. L-threonate or magnesium-glycinate. I'm seeing magnesium-glycinate is like the most available for kind of a reasonable price, but you can just check. Another form that's also recommendable is magnesium malate. So those are the forms that are better absorbed. They have a higher absorption, so not so much of it ends up in the gut and causes those loose bowels. So those things go together. You know, if the absorption is higher, then we don't get to the loose stools so quickly. And if absorption is not so good, we excrete more in our gut, and then this is what causes the loose bowels, okay? So stay away from the magnesium oxide. You won't be able to take a sufficiently high dose. The citrate might work. Actually, citrate is one of my favorites if I want to take it stirred into water as a powder form. So I just measure it with a measuring spoon. I know that this quantity is like 120 milligrams, and I can just put it in some water. Of course, I would take 8 spoons of those, yeah, this is my daily dose, or 10 even, yeah, 1,200 milligrams is about the dose you might be able to tolerate, and if that's the case, it might be reasonable to take such a higher dose for a while, because as I said, the deficiency is very likely and it can benefit a lot of health conditions. So you would just put this into water and stir it, and then you can drink it. The magnesium citrate has this advantage that it's actually a nice taste, like kind of lemony. So other forms of magnesium, they don't taste good at all, like the magnesium oxide stirred into water and then having to drink it. Oh my gosh, it's yeah, it's a bit awful. But anyway, most likely you're going to take this in capsules, yeah? So magnesium capsules, widely available, as I said. You might have to take several per day, so this can also be like a bit off-putting, that you think, oh my god, well, I have to take 10 or 12 capsules of magnesium per day. That sounds like a lot, but you know, magnesium, it's not a trace mineral. You know, there are minerals we need a little of, or even every once in a while, but magnesium and calcium and those kind of minerals, we really need quantity. We need to eat them with our food every day. And yeah, there's an interesting story. Did you know that the molecule, you know, we humans, we have the molecule hemoglobin in our blood. It's what gives our blood the red color. And this molecule hemoglobin is very similar to the chlorophyll in the plants, which gives the plant the green color. So our blood is red, chlorophyll is green, and this is of course what plants use to transform sunlight into energy. And those two molecules, they look very much the same, except one difference. In the middle of our hemoglobin molecule is the mineral iron. There's one iron molecule in it. And in the molecule of chlorophyll, there is magnesium in the middle. So that's the difference. It's magnesium, plants, green, and our hemoglobin, which is red and gets the color from the iron. So I find this really fascinating. I mean, it just shows that we have co-evolved with plants forever. We have depend on plants for food and medicine since forever. Of course, we have eaten plants forever. We have used plants as medicine forever. I always say, no, herbalism, this is not alternative medicine. What are you saying? Herbalism is our primal medicine, and it should be still our primary medicine to keep us healthy and to treat certain health conditions. I mean, it's not alternative, it's the thing, you know, it's the medicine for humans on this planet, because we have co-evolved with plants forever and we are brothers and sisters to them. They are our family. Our blood looks the same as chlorophyll with a little difference. I mean, it's just so amazing. So we need magnesium in large quantities, and if we don't eat green vegetables every day, we do not get a lot of magnesium. And also many vegetables and the food that is being grown for us, that is not wild, the magnesium content went down over the last years. So they have tested common vegetables that we eat, and the soil is poorer in magnesium than it was just a couple of decades ago. So the magnesium content in our vegetables is going down, and this is of course also part in this epidemic of magnesium deficiency that is so common in the whole modern Western world. Okay, so yeah, you can safely assume it's a good idea to take some magnesium. Yeah, so I recommend check out the magnesium-glycinate. You can take it in capsules. As I said, there's also one thing you have to check on the bottle, on the label. It says something like one capsule contains, let's say, 400 milligrams of magnesium. But is this, or it contains 400 milligrams of whatever, the magnesium glycinate that you are taking, or the magnesium citrate that you are taking. But the elemental magnesium, so in those forms, you know, the magnesium is bound to the citrate, bound to the amino acid glycine. So you have glycine in it and magnesium. You cannot consume pure magnesium. So is in one capsule, do you have 400 milligrams of the magnesium glycinate, or do you have 400 milligrams of pure magnesium in one capsule? This is a difference you have to carefully check out on the bottle. Also, sometimes it says on the bottle, daily dose so-and-so, yeah, 400 milligrams. But a daily dose is not one capsule, it's maybe 4 capsules, yeah. All of this, it will say on the bottle. So for getting a dose of 400 milligram, maybe you have to take 4 capsules, or it is 400 milligram of the magnesium citrate or glycinate, but not pure elemental magnesium. So those are the 2 differences you have to check out on the label of the bottle, okay? Because you might not be taking the high dose that you want to take, or the high enough dose that you want to take, okay? So check that out. As I said, you can all of these also take in powder and just stir them into water. They're usually way more they're less expensive. They're cheaper if you buy them as a powder, but of course it's a convenient thing to take it in capsules. I recommend you take it in the evening because it relaxes the body a little bit. It can help you go to sleep, or just relax in the evening. It doesn't make you tired. You could take it during the day, it's no problem. I personally take it in the evening, kind of also separate from my other supplements. You know, if you, for example, if you also take some iron, you can take the iron in the morning or midday, and then in the evening magnesium, so they don't kind of interfere in their absorption with each other. It's always good to kind of separate certain minerals from each other, or certain supplements that you are taking. So take the magnesium in the evening. That's just a good idea. Okay, magnesium is also very synergistic, we say, with vitamin D. So you could take those together. Check out my video about vitamin D and how to best take it. And sometimes I hear people say, this is another thing I wanted to mention, you have to take calcium and magnesium in a certain relation. You have to take so and so much calcium together with so and so many parts of magnesium. But I just want to say, calcium is not a deficient mineral in the modern diet, because most people eat plenty of like milk products or this and that, or just foods high and rich in calcium. So calcium is not as much a deficiency. So the calcium, maybe you get it in your daily food, but the magnesium you don't get enough in your daily food. So of course, maybe you don't have to take the calcium because you already get it in your food, but you take the magnesium, and of course it combines in that way in your body that it is in this beneficial kind of ratio towards each other. But you don't have to take necessarily a calcium supplement along with your magnesium supplement, okay? But it can make sense to take vitamin D together with magnesium to help with the absorption of both in the body, because they serve each other in their functions, and they are synergistic. Okay, so now we know, stay away from the magnesium oxide. Citrate could work or not, but something like magnesium glycinate or magnesium L-threonate or malate or taurate could be forms of magnesium that are less likely to cause loose bowels. Okay, and the dose, as I said, the dose on the label is one thing, but honestly, most people do really well if you fill them up with magnesium for a good while. Then later they can go down a bit to a kind of maintenance dose, but it can benefit many health conditions. So make sure you get enough in. Okay, so now the last thing is about if you are deficient or not. If you did a blood test, and maybe you did one and your doctor said, oh, your magnesium levels are fine, you don't have to take magnesium. So most likely your doctor took a blood test that measures just the magnesium levels in the blood serum. So this is a magnesium serum test, and those levels are always around the same level. They don't vary much from human to human. Certain processes, certain things in our blood, our body looks for the homeostasis. We cannot have a different pH. We cannot have a pH a bit higher, a bit lower in the blood, not much. The range is very narrow. Or we cannot have a very different body temperature. Our body looks for balance and this homeostasis in the body, and this is the same with magnesium. So your serum levels, they will be always fine. Your body scrambles and tries to get magnesium from all corners, and if it has to get it from the bones or from somewhere, it will get the magnesium and keep the magnesium levels in your blood serum stable. So that's why basically all humans on earth, they have normal magnesium serum levels. So this is not useful to test for, of course. I mean, it's a cheap test. It's probably you just took a bunch of tests or your doctor, and yeah, the magnesium serum levels were in there, and you're thinking, hey, great, I don't have a magnesium deficiency. Absolutely wrong. So the right test to get is called a red blood cell magnesium test. Yeah. So this is not, also if you go to your doctor and say, hey, I want a red blood cell magnesium test, maybe he's like, what? And hasn't even heard about this, and maybe he gives you a red blood cell test and a magnesium serum test, and this is two different tests. No, we want the magnesium red blood cell test. Yeah, so this means the magnesium that is bound to your red blood cells, not the magnesium that flows freely in your blood serum. Okay, those are two totally different tests, and the red blood cell magnesium is a bit more expensive, yeah, a bit more harder to get maybe. But this is the only test that will give you a real picture of what's going on and how magnesium deficient you are. Yeah, so I already said it, you know, most people are deficient, but with a test like this, you could monitor if it gets better after a year, or where did you start, or how deficient are you. So of course, it's a nice thing. If you have the opportunity, then go measure your red blood cell magnesium. Okay, so not the magnesium serum levels, two totally different things. Yeah, and a big misunderstanding, and yeah, it's just common that, yeah, this gets kind of overlooked or is, not so widely known. That's why I tell you that. Okay, so, about the dose, I mean, I mentioned it roughly. If you take the magnesium-glycinate, as I said, it's the least bowel loosening form of magnesium in a way, with a couple of others. So if you take the right form of magnesium, just start with a little. Just start with 1 capsule, or however much is in 1 capsule. If it's 120 milligrams or 100 milligrams, then just go up by 1 capsule each day, or roughly by 100 milligrams each day. I mean, if the capsule is 320, you take that and then you double it after a couple of days. And so you go up in the amount of capsules you take, and you just see the next day what happens with your bowel movements, if they get very runny, or how do you feel with that. I mean, it's okay to tolerate a bit more loose bowels. I mean, some people, they're so used to having just 1 bowel movement a day, or maybe 1 every 3 days, and then they have to go to the bathroom 2 times a day, and for them it's shocking, but actually it's a good thing. Actually, it's not normal to have bowel movement only every other day, so get used to it. And yeah, it's actually a good thing if you go to the bathroom a bit more often with the help of magnesium. Yeah, it can be beneficial. So just find your equilibrium with that and go up slowly. Then you might end up at a dose around 800 milligrams, 1000 milligrams, or 1200 milligrams is often the cutoff, and the maximum that somebody could take without getting too loose bowels. Okay, so that's a dose, yeah, I aim for with my clients, because many of them have chronic issues and I want to have them the benefit as fast as possible, and yeah, just get their deficiencies under control, and so we can work with the medicinal herbs on their issues. And in this combination, yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, magnesium and vitamin D are 2 big factors that you should definitely think about if you want to heal from some chronic issues. Okay, so I hope you liked it. Please leave me a comment, like the video if you liked it. Of course, check out my channel. I have a whole playlist about beneficial medicinal herbs and supplements, and also check out this vitamin D video here. So this is a video about vitamin D. I said they're very synergistic. It's good to take the vitamin D and magnesium together, but you don't have to. I mean, it's just, yeah, both are very likely deficiencies in modern Western people. So that's basically why. Okay, so see you in the next video. Ciao.